Alright, today we're gonna talk, right? If you've watched another video with the shirt on, just letting you know, I filmed these back to back, okay? Change something, but not everything, you feel me? I have 3 books and 2 comics here that I believe are worth reading. Yes, I'm gonna be honest, some of them objectively have some issues in terms of structure, in terms of plot, what have you, but they are still worthy of being read because they still have some great things about them. I think, especially in these book spaces, we get so caught up on things being perfect when in fact there's something you could take from everything. Now, can we have the conversation about, oh my god, there's so much out there and, DNF? We can absolutely still have that conversation. But I still think that there are some books that are worth holding on to. Like, just pushing through just a little bit to, like, get some of the message. So, I'm going to give you some of my books and comics that I still very much enjoyed, even though I know that mainstream may not like them. Let's get into it. First one is literary fiction, and it is The Days of Aphrodite. I didn't even hear about this book anywhere. I was scrolling online and I happened to find it in an online bookstore. And I was like, alright, cool. Let's see what this is about. Now, it was the title that grabbed my attention, Aphrodite, and it was a nod to Audre Lorde. So I was like, alright, let me give this a try. So it's about these 2 women. They dated briefly when they were in college, like their freshman year of college, and then they went their separate ways. One, took up the heteronormative lifestyle, so, she has a husband, all these things, whatever. And then the other woman, she is, still figuring things out, and she's having, like, mental health crises and all of that. And you get their backstory, but also, like, how they end up coming back to each other later in life. I compare this book to an older, sophisticated version of Honey Girl. I enjoyed it. Yes, it had some issues, but nothing that I'm like is worthy of putting the book down. Honestly, I feel like for a lot of people late in life who figured out who they are, this book hits in the best of places. Speaking from my personal experience, it hits in the best of places. So yeah, that's why this book will always stay in the library. It has I'm not gonna say it has a best message, but it definitely, if you're talking about experiencing or accepting who you are, and breaking from, societal expectations and norms, it's this book. Alright, this next book is a YA fantasy book, and it is The Bones of Ruin by Sarah Riley. This is a series that I'm very much invested in. Am I going to be taking my time with it? For sure. It's not something that I'm like, I need to get immediately. But there were a lot of things about this book that I very much enjoyed. For one, the research that went into this book was top tier. You could tell that the author really did their job in figuring out how to connect all these cultures together, the time period together, and then all of the references that are in this book are top tier. When I was reading it, because I did it with Be Too Weird Book Club, when I was reading it, signals were going off in my brain. I'm like, wait, I know all of this. I know this history. This is badass. So a lot of this book and its history is directly related to the Dahomey women, the Dahomey warriors. Sorry. And it is absolutely fantastic. My issue with the book. So I don't know if you guys are ever a Project Runway person. I used to watch it, loved it. It's why I have the Brother sewing machine. I got it way back when it first came out. Love Project Runway. And in season 3, there was this fashion designer named Santino Rice. He was actually one of the judges on RuPaul's Drag Race, right? And one of the issues that they always had with Santino was the fact that he could not edit. He could not edit down. It was just always too much, too much. And that's what I get sometimes with this book. That this book wasn't edited down. I feel like there's so much in here. Not that it's bad, it's just a lot to take in. And to put all of that into YA is, you know, I feel like we could have taken out like 3 or 4 things and it still would have been a solid book. So that was my only thing. If you do read it, just know you're gonna get hit with a lot, especially with historical references. Does not mean it's bad, just, you know, some of it could just breeze over your head, you know? Okay. Next one is a comic. And this is The City of Clowns by, who is this? Daniel Alarcon. Okay, so this is a Peruvian author. It's based off of a short story, and I always, like, I do this thing on TikTok where I talk about, you know, pairing comics and books, and I always pair this with Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo, because this is basically the grown-up male version of that book. Similar stories. You find, like, this guy, he finds out that his dad has a second family, and it's him trying to process that by, you know, having flashbacks about his own life and then how him and that second family are connected. So, like, great book. Like, great story. But I'm gonna be honest, like, the artwork, while it's, you know, experimental, it's black and white, it's very heavy and dark in atmosphere, it does not catch the attention easily. I'll be honest, it doesn't. But like I said, it's a great story to hear. If you've ever read Clap When You Land, which is like a phenomenal book, right? And then you go into this one and you see how adults have to, like, process that information too. I think it's very much worth the read. Also, you learn about, like, how clowns, yeah, like the life of street clowns and how they're important in Peru. Like, you learn a lot of great information about Peru in here. So if you ever get a chance, I would say with this, read Clap When You Land, or if you've ever read it, then read this right after. Okay. Whew. This next one. Y'all gonna go, Keisha, what the fuck? Okay, so this next one is Sweep of Stars by Maurice Broaddus, right? Now, this one won an award.
So it did not, in fact, win an award. It was nominated for a Locust in 2023.
The conversations and the commentary that happens in this book about the Black community, to the Black community, for the Black community, is top tier, masterful, amazing. I can't tell you anything else that happened in this book. I'm really reading this book because it's having a conversation with me outside of the plot. You feel me? And there aren't many books that are doing that. A lot of them ground you and they hold you with one hand and they're like, look, this is what's going on, you know, and they're holding you in the hand. With this book, no, we're having that conversation somewhere in the astral plane. While the actual story is happening, the author has, like, dragged me up into the astral plane. It's like, look, we're going to have a conversation about, you know, the Black community and what we're going to do and how we're going to move forward. And I'm like, yo, yeah, let's fucking go. I can't tell you what's happening in anything else. I can't give you character names. I can't give you plot. I really don't know any of that. But I'm here for the conversation. We're going to have this conversation and it's going to blow my fucking mind because that's what happened in the first book. So when you read Sweep of Stars, don't read it for plot. You're listening for the dialogue that's happening between the characters and how they're talking about what the Black community needs to do and how they're speculating what the future is going to look like and how they grapple with their connection to colonization, their connection to war, and how they process that. It's a phenomenal conversation. Don't look for plot. And it's the final one, I promise. It's a comic. It is Bebop Barbarians. Okay? I don't hear many people talking about this comic. But it's very much necessary. It's historical. It's historic fiction. It fictionalizes the lives of 3 cartoonists that actually exist. One of them being Jackie Orms. And they each are going through their own journey to figure out where they sit with the civil rights movement and how they're going to convey that in their work and how it's going to impact their livelihood, right? Structurally, this book does some weird stuff. Well, first, I'm not the biggest fan of the art at all. The art was something I had to like gloss over the whole time. And structurally, it does this thing where, yeah, you see panels, right? But then it goes into like a short story format. Oh, I feel like I'm a teacher again. Look at that. But it goes into the short story format, and there is no reason or rhyme for that. It almost feels like they ran out of their panels and they made the decision. They were like, no, we need this part of the story in here, so we need to add it. We need to figure this out. So that's why this little short story section, and it's not a small section in here. I think it's 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, it's like 8 pages, you know? So, like, you're flipping pages and you're like, all right, are we going to get back to the comic? Like, what's going on? So, like, because of those 2 things, I did look at this side-eyed, right? However, once again, the message that is being conveyed is enough to keep me in. It's enough to want me to read further. In fact, this book is the reason why I'm going to start reading more about Jackie Orms. Like, I've known about her and the Torture and Heartbeats, but apparently, according to this, she was a queer woman. I did not know that. I want to like confirm that. You know what I'm saying? It has me asking questions about these actual cartoonists, because even though they're together in this book, the 3 of them here, they didn't actually like come together in the same way that you see in this plot. So it has me interested in this and going backwards into early Black comics. So for that, I think that this comic is worth it completely. And much like the other book, if you're ever going to do this, then like watch the Hulu show Woke. Similar situation. It's just modernized and it's focused on one person. So yeah. So those were mine. Do you have any that people like, you know, downplay or whatever? You're like, no, this is a good ass book. I will say BIPOC authors, please, okay? For this conversation, we're talking about Black, Indigenous, and other authors of color, okay? Because that's what I know. That's what we're going to talk about here on this channel. So if you have any of those, let me know, because I like finding those books. I love reading weird things. I'm more about, you know, having a good time, yes, but also the lesson we're going to take from it. So I will see y'all in the next video. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all those greatness. Later.